Okay, so once again, thanks for um, agreeing to record the session, which is just going to be our own um, internal sharing. And as I was talking about, so decision making is the topic that we are going to discuss about, and you're going to share more about what what's in your mind about making decision. What are some of the challenging situations that you have gone through, and we bring that and hear out from others, and keep this as more like more casual conversation and exchanging our own experiences, right? What I will do is at some point I will share 2 or 3 slides just to bring in kind of a model so that in the future we can focus on that. And like Jana Selvan said, I will highlight some do's and don'ts. Again, none of these are really exhaustive lists of things. It is more for us to really take from our own experiences and experiences that comes from our fellow mates who may be within our own group or things that we may have observed. Observation is one of the key elements, and probably that's something that over a period it'll be great for us to develop such kind of skills. Two things, right? When you see someone making a decision, it may be good or bad. We get some experience out of that. That's a learning. When someone makes, or even our own selves make, a decision that is not a right decision, do we worry about it? Do we curse our own selves saying that, why did I make this decision? Or we take the learning out of that and try to improvise as we move on in our life, right? So we will have that. So probably what I will do is I will just throw a poll, take a minute or two to think about, and then uh, complete the poll, and we will start our discussion based on the poll. Yeah, are you seeing the poll? Yeah, go on, just read and then do your poll. Interesting. Okay, really very interesting. Anyone want to take a guess? What would have gotten in the top of the list? Whoever is talking, your mic's on mute. You can unmute yourself because it's a very small group of us. So there won't be any noise from the background. So don't worry about that.
If I'm not wrong, the second last option.
Second last option. Don't know, is it?
No, dream location not in that list.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. My special location not in the list. Okay.
Yeah.
This is interesting. Okay. Hope all of you voted. Anyone did not? Okay, looks like. Because let me just ask a question. Who did more than one option? Okay. So Roma did more than one. Then a question to the rest, 5 of you. What made you not to choose more than one?
I just assumed that it was just one option that you could tick. Like
Yeah,
I
Oh,
same.
didn't
is that
try
so?
to.
Yeah.
Did it not say on the top, choose one or more?
I
Did
think I
not read
didn't
that
pay
part.
much. Yeah, I did not really. You just skim through.
Okay. Any other reasons why not more than one?
Uh, I saw Malaysia and Egypt, so I read the title, what they were saying. So I just read the title, Dream Destination, and I just answered.
So you answered Malaysia or Egypt. You did not.
No,
You read Malaysia and Egypt, but you did not do Malaysia or Egypt as your option.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Adishwar, why did you not choose more than one?
My dream location wasn't in the list.
Okay.
So I've
So
already
that's
asked my
easy for
parents
you.
about it. Yeah, I've already asked my parents about it. Then they will seem to be okay. So I just need to. I just selected the option where it says like your dream location is not in the list.
Okay. Good. So you have a dream location, indeed.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Good. I'm not going to ask that. Don't worry. So
Okay.
there are 3 out of 6 mention my special location not in the list. The other 3 out of the other 3, one shows more than one, which is good and interesting. And now I know which of the 2 Roma chose. Anyone else take another wild guess beyond the my special location not in the list? What would have come as the second item?
Need to check my parents.
Okay, interesting. So this is the result. Can you see the result? So Roma, correct me if I'm wrong. You chose my hometown as well as probably any scenic place, if not my special location. You're nodding your head for both. So which one is which?
I chose the first one, my hometown and any scenic place.
Okay, so I was right. And 2 other folks have chosen scenic place. May I know who they are? Okay, good. And Vaishali, is it? Okay. All right. Have you noticed something very interesting? 3 girls chose scenic place. Nothing wrong. I'm not saying Adishwar or Jnana Selvan not interested in that. Okay, all right. So before going further, let's do one more.
Uncle, there's an option called Food 1, Food 2, and Food 5, but I do not know what it's referring to.
I'm on mute.
Sorry, I'm on mute or?
I am on mute.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead and decide yourself. So how was this compared to the previous one? Was this easy or the previous one was easier?
Previous one was easier
Why?
because there was food 1, food 2, food 5,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I tried to click a lot of options, but I only can pick one.
Okay. Good. What else? Anybody else want to share?
Like he said, I think the other options were very generic. So you tend to go with the more specific one because you feel it's more guaranteed. I don't know. Yeah. That's how I chose. Yeah.
Any thoughts, Roma?
Yeah, like I didn't really know what was food 1 and food 2, so I didn't want to take the risk, so I just went with the ones that I knew would be fine. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. But all agreed or kind of little agreed that this is a bit vague, not as straightforward as the first one. And at least someone literally tried to click more button, even though the title did not say multiple option, still wanted to try. So just let me share this and then share what this was telling us all about. So most of you chose tasty food. Someone still wanted to take that exploration, went on with food 1. Was that Shivanjani or Adishwar? Okay. What was the reason for you to go with food 1? Not
I was
not by
curious.
your father's influence, probably.
I don't know, but I was curious about what it was. It could be anything.
Okay. Yeah, okay. It can be anything. A plate of uncooked meat. I don't know. Could be.
No, the point is I'm spontaneous. Not that I want to eat uncooked meat.
Okay. All right. Well, who said uncooked meat? You can still cook it. Okay. Let's get going. Right. So meat on Sunday. Who did that?
It was me.
Adisha?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was your understanding of meat on Sunday?
Usually, like, I always wait for this day in the week. Like, usually Sunday, I'll usually sit with my family and eat meat. Like, it's either chicken or mutton. We'll have it on
Okay.
Sundays. So
Okay. And
it's
you
like the
assumed
tastiest.
and you assume Sunday to be the day, not ice cream.
I mean, ice cream, you can have it on another day. I mean, meat,
No, no,
for
no, no,
me,
no.
meat is just.
Sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
What I meant was meat on Sunday ice cream. Sunday as in a flavor or the presentation of an ice cream cup, Sunday ice cream that you get in McDonald's.
I mean, like, sorry, wait, I actually, sorry, I need to connect to my earpiece, sorry.
Okay, so just back on that.
Hello?
Now, there is nothing tricky here or something. So what I was trying to kind of bring a little bit of a teaser there is when we make decisions, we assume certain things when we make the decision. It was so interesting. Probably this question may have been in all of you, but Himani put it across. Hey, this foot one, foot two, what the heck is this, right? So foot one, foot two, foot three, foot five, all you're throwing them across as, oh, something, how am I going to decide? So it is the thinking process that kicks in, right? There is a very good, deep, in-depth analysis done whereby we are making the decision first, and then we are thinking, and then we are executing generally. It's a little bit of undecisive um, thought process whereby we may think that how can I decide before I can think? So pushing ourselves in the thinking process to make the decision. So Imani made a decision to ask the question. It's not about deciding what is in the list as part of an execution, but deciding first to participate, deciding first to get a clarification about what is said in what was presented in front of us. What else we are really understanding from these two polls is that our mind is normally getting attuned or tuned to what we have seen through our experience. So the first poll has given this idea about multiple options. And there is a thought process which kicked in, oh, the second one is also going to be multiple option, but it was not. First one was a lot more clearer. Second one had so many vague elements in there and so many missing pieces for anyone to make a choice. There is no right or wrong. What Shivanjini has chosen, well, is there anything wrong? Well, so there is something that she was curious about. So there's a component of it. She was curious about it. Himani was initially curious about what these foot 1, 2, and 5 are. So that's the level of curiosity in order to make and pull the decision, the decision being made. In the previous example, we looked at about many things and need to ask parents is again pushing the responsibility to someone else rather than owning the responsibility in making our own decisions. Of course, there are so many aspects for us to make that decision. So let's jump in a little bit, hearing about starting with Jnana Selvan. Have you made any decision? Simple one. It can be just going out with a friend. Can be anything. And any recent experience that you have gone through, and what was your learning that you can share with us?
Okay. So about 2 months ago, I mean not okay. Since the lockdown phase 2 came, me and my friends were planning to go for cycling on a Sunday to East Coast, but my parents are very skeptical and overprotective. They wouldn't allow me to go to such a far distance. So what I did was I asked my parents if I could go to cycling, and I went on the morning and returned at 11 o'clock. My decision making on that day wasn't that great because I injured myself, and okay, wait, let me restart what I said. So on that Sunday, I was planning to go cycling with my friends to East Coast Park, but then we went to all the way to Khatib Park. We didn't go to East Coast because I was badly hurt as I fell down on the road, so I had to return back home. So my when I was thinking about uh, when I was over there, I was thinking to myself, I shouldn't have come here. I shouldn't have disobeyed my parents, like saying I shouldn't have cycled to a far distance place. And if I have gone to East Coast Park, I'll be more injured and more hurt.
Okay, well, so that's something that you took as a learning. What would you
Yeah,
do next time round? It is not about just giving everything back to the parents. With respect to your own decision power, what can you do differently next time round?
uh, I can do so many things. Firstly, just try to be safe next time and think wisely before I do any actions.
Okay. So, did you decide to go to East Coast Park and started thinking about the what else that I'm going to do, or have you kind of navigating, trying to find out, figure out what needs to happen first, and then made the decision?
Yeah, what what I figure it out, then
Okay, good, good. Thanks for sharing that. Um, Shimani, do you want to share?
Okay, mine is more um academic based per se. So
Okay.
like every semester our uni will have bidding for modules. So like it's our own decision to bid for the modules we intend to take for the semester. So what has happened for like the past 2 years, like for the 4 semesters, was whatever modules I bid for, I usually got them. I didn't have trouble appealing for any module that I didn't get,
Mhm.
um, or not being assigned the module that I wanted to take. So for this semester, I went in with the same mindset that okay, if I wanted to take these 5 modules, and if I rank them accordingly, I will be able to get all 5 that I intend to get. So I didn't actually keep any backup plans, like whether if I didn't manage to secure one module, what other module am I going to take? So I didn't think of that. Even if I did, I only kept it for like another module instead of the module that I actually didn't get on the day, because I overestimated the number of people bidding for the module. I thought, oh, I'm an econs major and it's an econs module. I'll probably get it because I'm also a year 3 student. But then turns out I did manage to get it, and then I had to pick out a module from the list like quite pretty last minute because it was the second round of bidding to secure another module. And thankfully I managed to select something that I was interested in, and it wasn't and I still managed to secure it in the end, so it didn't affect my timetable planning or like my module planning for the future too greatly. So I was okay, like I was still in a safe zone. But it really taught me something that, I always need to have probably 2 to 3 backup plans before I go into bidding, and not just be too overconfident that I'll get the modules that I intend to get just because I'm a senior student there. So it's something that I overlooked before, and now uh, I wouldn't do so in the future.
Okay, great to great to learn from you something that had happened. Um, Towards a later section, we will touch on one key element that you shared about. It is all about having or exploring alternatives,
Mm.
not just assuming and sticking on to the option that we think, oh yeah, this is going to work out for me. Rather, the exploration of all the other pathways. Destination is one. Like for you, 5 modules. Have to choose 5 modules. What 5 modules comes the next step? And after having those five, what else? Right? Something that you have shared in the previous session keeps coming to my mind, which is all about what else question even then was something that probably maybe would have kicked in, then the whole scenario, whole situation may have gone in a different pathway. But one fantastic thing that you showcased even the last time round was that that was a learning. And it is such a valuable learning for life. Early part of life, you're taking those learning, which is going to really guide you as you move forward. So thanks for sharing that, Imani.
Thank you.
Who wants to go next? Shivanjani?
Okay. So I think this is something I've already shared before in the previous session, but I'd like to reinstate it again. Uh, Earlier this year, when I had an opportunity to sign up for EAE, early admissions exercise. This will help me for O levels. As long as I pass my O levels, I'll still be able to get into the course I'm willing to go to. Of course, there's interviews and everything, but apart from that, that's the basic gist of it. Um, there was a huge dilemma that if I should get in, if I should sign up for the EAE or not, because something if I get selected for EAE, I get past the application and they want me for an interview, I will not be able to showcase anything in my portfolio because I wasn't consistent in my CCA due to personal issues. So I didn't have anything major to show them that I want this course very much. And it'll be very hard for them to consider me. So I thought it was going to be a little bit of waste of time. But at the same time, if I don't try, like if I don't sign up and see if I'm even eligible for an interview, um, I wouldn't be doing a favor to myself because I wouldn't know if I was capable. So it was something that it was a very, very big decision. I went to my dad and he decided not to do anything for me because I was supposed to be independent and make my own decision. But he did break it down for me. He said that you have to look at the differences. Like if I'm not going to enter EAE, that means I have to do very, very well for my O levels because my course, my poly course for next year solely relies on that. And I don't have any CCA bonus points as well, so I wouldn't be minusing 1 or 2 points from my aggregate as well. So it's solely based on my own results, my own aggregate. If I join, if I put my time, write up my EAE profiles and attend the interviews, of course it's going to be consuming my time, but if it's not worth my time and if I know that it's not going to go anywhere, then what's the point? So I had to decide between these two. I talked to a lot of people. Nobody actually helped. So I did come to a decision of not um, applying for EAE. Pretty confident with my O levels. I've completed it, so I'm pretty confident that I'll be doing well. I would say no regrets, but it was a very large and hectic decision to make at that time.
So through the process, if I were to ask you, what are the top two learnings for you?
I wouldn't say learnings. I don't think I could actually learn much from this experience because it's something that you have to be satisfied, with whatever decision you make. Even if you regret, there's no point because there's no turning back. So it's not really a learning, but it is like a decision making skill. And also you pushed me to be independent and not make my decision for me, which was, I guess you could say that as a learning because I did that all on my own, and that was a skill, I suppose.
So, what would have happened if your father had given you the choice and asked you to do one way or the other? The other way could have been like push you to do the application that you wanted to, direct admission.
I mean, of course, at the end of the day, it's still my decision. This is your suggestion, your recommendation. But I get to pick from it because there's one way or the other. There's a or. I can choose either one. So I probably would not have chosen to do the application anyways. But again, that's on the independent scale, and it's still my choice.
Okay. So, from a learning perspective, would you like to say that doing on your own self had given you more opportunity to research through and making that decision a lot more stronger than something being pushed on you?
Of course, because there have been many successful EAE applications, and there were a lot of people who are successful without the application as well. They were able to get into the course and the school they wanted, and it's not that hard, to be honest. It's just the age and everything, you have to push yourself. But it's I would say it's a learning, and the doing the research on my own and everything, it helped me, and it was a major portion of my decision making.
Okay. Thanks for sharing, and thanks for being open with all of us here, including myself. Certain elements of this, I'm not joking for the rest of the team. Certain elements of this, I was not even aware until she made the decision. So, good. Who wants to go next? I was almost going to ask Adisha, but his video went off and came back. So I thought he was deciding himself to put the mics off or unmute himself to talk. So I take that as an unmute. And now, since you're ready, go on, Adisha.
Okay, mine was the same as Evangelini's. So I had these thoughts going on. Should I like take EAE or should I like go with my raw score and stuff? But then I was with the help of my teachers, I actually took up EAE. So I was actually scared for the interviews because I have like my course is like civil engineering, and I'm not sure about like a lot of stuff like related to it. So I took on EAE. So after that, the interview date came, and I wasn't actually very prepared for the interview. And the interview, they were asking me about my personal stuff, like which is not related to the course. And I was like actually scared a little while. So it's not about the course, and you're asking me about my personal stuff. And I was like, okay. And after that, the last question was a very hard question. It was about the course. Like, what did I even know, like, about the course and stuff? And at that point, I actually thought there was like thoughts going on in my mind, like, should I have like taken this EAE thing? Like, I mean, if I don't answer this question, I wouldn't even I won't proceed on. So after that, I actually answered the question, and after a few days, I actually got to know that I actually got chosen because of my CCA skills. So it wasn't actually because how I answered the question. It was because of my CCA skills, and it's like being a leader for like almost 2 years that helped me push on to get to the EAE state, the to pass my interview. So I actually mentioned those in my interview. So that is the thing that helped me get my EAE. So my thought is decision making I made at that point when the last question, like that's the main thing that make me pass the interview.
Very good. Thanks for sharing that. And well, two things that you have mentioned about, which comes back to on a generic platform of making decisions, is very key element in deciding that particular choice that you're making. I'm not talking about civil engineering. I'm talking about getting into EAE. It's all about collecting data, knowing the information, getting yourself prepared, right? And is this the only pathway? What are the alternatives that you want to look at? And a key element is knowing the data and getting really prepared. Have you utilized in the process the resources that are available to you?
Sorry, say again. Sorry, I couldn't hear. Say again.
Okay, so the question is, did you get or did you leverage the resources that you have in order for you to get yourself ready or to know more about what EAE is, more than what you know? Of course, you may have talked to your teachers and people that are at your reach. For example, there is someone who has more knowledge about EAE in this 6, 7 people here. Question is, I'm not specifically pointing out, but I'm just asking, have you gone through that process of collecting data and knowing what will happen in an EAE interview? What kind of questions will come up? Am I ready? Have you made those elemental activities in order to get yourself ready?
I've I didn't ask them about what kind of questions they were asked, but I got to know more about what the course is. Like I've talked to people who are like civil engineers, example, Mr. Vetri. So I I called him and asked him about what is civil engineering about, what's the basic stuff and things. So I got to learn more about it. Like it's skyscrapers and buildings and stuff or like interest since young for me.
Mm.
So I got to learn more about it, like visiting sites and stuff. So with his help, I made the decision to like take on the EAE. Actually,
Okay, good.
I was like 50% like that. I was sitting on the fence, so I was like, should I take it? Is civil engineering really like important? Is it like, will it be? I was actually thinking, I thought that it will be boring, but turns out it's quite interesting. So I actually took on.
Okay, that's really good. And well, you did the right thing. Himani seemed to be smiling a little bit. Anything you want to add, Himani? Okay, so well, that's okay. Reason why I asked, she knows why I asked that to her, and some of us know. Probably you may also know at least. So let's move on. Thanks for that sharing. I'll just pass a while. We heard from Selvan, Himani, Shivanjini, and Adishwar. Anyone have any questions or sharing about what could have happened differently? Any thoughts? It's just a close group here. Don't worry. Nobody is going to be offended with anything. Just throw if you have any questions or any thoughts that can help in this conversation as part of takeaway.
I think that I realized that there is no fixed pathway that you can take per se. Like even when it comes to the early admission for poly that they were discussing about, yeah, I think that it differs for every individual. So there is no fixed decision making that you can do. Like, I should take this certain steps, and then I know that my end goal is going to be achieved, kind of thing. I think it depends on every individual and what they are looking to achieve in the future and what sort of person they are and their own thought processes would come into it as well. So I think it's a very subjective thing. Yeah, there's a lot of takeaways that we can learn from one another, but ultimately I think it boils down to what your intentions are and what you intend to take away from it. Yeah,
that's being showcased here, right? So that's a very good point you called out, Himani. For example, EAE, Shivanjani decided not to take. EAE, Adishwa was sitting on the fence, and he went on to make the decision. It is not about either getting into EAE or not. It is all about civil engineering. Is it right for me or not? And then he went on with that. So definitely, one thing I sense from these two sharing, and of course from your sharing when you mentioned about what has happened, as well as Jnana Silvan, it can be any type of situation. At the end of it, there is always some learning. However small it is all about what you just mentioned. It is different for different people, and it is about their personality that acts into the play. And for Adishwa, he mentioned it very clearly. I was not too sure. So he went out and did this chit chat with Vetri, and he gave some insights. Vetri did not decide for him, for sure. And whoever else Adishwa spoke about did not make a decision. Shivanjani said it. What if I forced you to do this? At the end of the day, it is my decision. That's what she said. This is very refreshing, especially for this generation. I'm seeing this not just from six of you here. I'm seeing this from quite a lot of people where the decision is owned and accountability is literally showcased. And what is coming together is all about at the end of whatever that had happened, the outcome is being accepted. So this is what I've done, and this is the outcome. I'm happy about the outcome, including what Jnana Silvan said. Broke his knee, or no, probably not that bad, hurt himself a little bit, but he did realize something at that point of time. Oh yeah, I could have done differently. It may not have ruined his vacation time or outing time with friends, right? So it is a process. It is not a process of step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, there are step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is for the brain to literally pull things together to check, did I miss out anything? I'm going to execute this, and am I missing a tiny little piece out of this? It's more like a jigsaw puzzle, right? When you connect everything and there is a feeling that kicks in, says that, oh yeah, this feels to be the right thing that I should be doing, right? So we have Roma and Vaishali to share about. You girls decide who wants to go first.
Okay, I can go first.
Okay.
Okay, so so recently I had this ever since A levels have been over, like I'm looking for internships and like jobs to do. So I had this internship opportunity, which was like a really good opportunity for me, and I know that it like I can learn a lot from it. But the thing is that so I got to know about it on the day of the deadline, and it was like I only had like 1 hour to sign up for it. And so I was like looking through all the forms that had to be submitted and all, and I realized that there's a lot of work to do. So I thought that I wouldn't be able to finish it in that 1 hour. And like I decided not to apply for it. And I had a friend who applied for it like 2 days later. And like I think the friend didn't manage to get through also. But the thing is that I realized that I didn't even try like to contact the person later on to extend the deadline or anything. So at that point in time, I was just thinking about how like the least I could have done was to try, and I didn't do it. So yeah, that was my takeaway from it. That next time I should at least try. Like, yeah.
Very interesting. Reason I said why very interesting is having seen a lot of such thing, and what you are sharing now is I should have at least tried. Whether it is getting through or not getting through, it would have given you an opportunity of going through the whole process and experiencing that process. And the way you very nicely put Roma, which is a friend of yours, tried, even though she did not get it, but at least she went through the process and learned some process out of it. Um, if it is not personal, if I may ask, what made you just before 2 days before, what made you to really pull off from that opportunity?
No, it was like I knew about it only on the day of the deadline. Like
I
it
see.
was like the deadline was ending like 11:59, and I knew about it at like 11 o'clock. So I had
Okay.
like 1 hour to like come out with like, and there were like a few forms that I had to fill, like 3, 4 forms that I had to print out, and like I had to look for a lot of documents and stuff. So it was just a lot of work. So I knew I wouldn't be able to finish in that 1 hour. So
Okay.
like, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, so that's a learning, not a regret, I
Yeah.
suppose. Okay. Thanks for sharing. Vaishali, I know you both wanted to go together. I could see you and Roma fighting to unmute yourself. Go on, Vaishali.
Okay. I think for me, it's more of like daily dilemmas during like the course of the last 2 years was to like whether I'm going to study or I could take a break and go out with friends or watch a TV show or something. So for me, it might look small, but I think like cumulatively like it is a major like it gives a major implication like in my life at least. So there were like how I used to like take my decisions was whether I used to remind myself of the consequences of it. Like if I didn't study, then I'm not going to do well, or like I'm going to last minute, like I'm going to have issues with like coping and stuff. So that's how sometimes I used to take that the decision of like staying at home to study. But then there were days where like I became very saturated and I wanted to like relax. So I used to go out with friends, just like to chill and stuff. But then there were days, especially during the first year of JC, I was very relaxed and I was just like I didn't really think about what's going to happen in the future. So I was like, okay, it's fine. I don't have to study for this exam that's like just 3 weeks away. So I'll just go out. And then I think like that's something I do regret now, because those gaps I missed out like in the beginning, like they come and like they impact me later in the year, where I'm just struggling with the topics because I didn't give it enough focus and things like that. So I think for me, those decisions or like those lapses in like decision making kind of affected me like on a more like a larger level. But yeah, I think those were some of the decisions I think I made over this year that I think impacted me. Yeah.
Okay. So, as the process of learning, what would you do differently going forward?
I think for me, it's really about understanding where these decisions lead, because I like to procrastinate a bit. So I can easily say I can do it later, I can do it later. But then, like for me, it's really like weighing the pros and cons of it. Like, no, and like not just pros and cons, but the, like the, how do you call it? Like the severity of the cons. Like if it means, um, failing an exam, it is going to demoralize me eventually. So I'd rather avoid that. And if the pro is, I get like 1 hour, 3 hours of like free time with friends. So it's based on how I view it. And I think it comes back to what Himani said also, like about it being subjective. If I'm willing to forego that 3 hours of, like happiness to like, that sadness I'm going to feel like when I see my grade, I think that's how I would take my decision even in the upcoming years. Yeah. And I think
Okay.
I would also like to say, like, my parents also kind of let me get that accountability. Like, they could have easily forced me to be like, no, you're not going out, or you're not, wasting your time. They could have forced me to sit at home and, study, but they didn't do that in the early months. And then when I was, telling them like, oh, I didn't do that well, and then they used to be like, yeah, it is your decision. and you face the consequences of it. So I think that was a huge learning for me, because I have no one to blame. It was only me, and I'm responsible for whatever decision I took. So like I can't put it on someone else. And it also gave me that accountability, because we are growing up, and the older we become, the more decisions we make, and it's on the onus is on us, to face it. So that was like a huge learning for me over the year. So this year, a change I did was, yeah, I think it's okay. It's just 2 hours of studying. I'm going to be happy after I study, because I accomplish, something. So, and yeah, that's what I think I changed over the year. Yeah.
Okay. You're happy about the change?
Kind of. Hopefully,
Okay.
hopefully it pays off. That's all I'm thinking about for now.
Yeah, so while you were sharing that, I can see the shift in the way that you started mentioning. And you started off, it gave a feeling like you regretted. And when you concluded the whole thing, you started even smiling even more than what you were earlier. It is all about an experience that you're going through internally. When you start sharing, that's when you go back in time into putting yourself there. It is a very good reflection that you just made. It is all about you becoming mature as you grow and making the right, responsible choices and being accountable to those choices. Right. So thanks for sharing that. Any comments from anyone overall? So what we are just doing is sharing our experiences. I can share quite a lot of my own experiences, but that won't count in a difference in the different generation shift. My daughter used to tease me whenever I jump in to share something. She says, that is your generation. I said, yes, okay. So let's talk about it. And then we get into knowing more about what has changed. Fundamentally, we are human. Personality is different. Millennials are different from the previous generation. Millennials are different, Gen Zs are different from millennials. And this is going to grow slightly over a period. And the choices are not going to be shifted based on this, but the timelining of these choices that we are making in the life is going to be a little different. And for example, a lot of millennials generally want to have their own me time, which was not the case for Gen X's, who are prior to millennial period, right? So these people who have not spent their time, and rightfully what Vaishali was sharing about, it is all about bringing the balance. Should I not go out at all when I'm doing A level, my final year exams? Something definitely wrong from a thought process, right? So I need to literally make myself, even though it is subjective, I need to make sure that I am giving what I should be giving to my own self so that I deliver really fantastic in what I am focusing on. Sitting and studying for 4 or 5 hours in a stretch versus I take a break for an hour, go out, relax myself, and the brain cells are going to literally work fantastically well in completing whatever that you may have planned for 3 hours. You may complete them in 2 hours. That level of focus is going to really make things wonderfully well. I was thinking of bringing some brain power stuff to share today, but decided not to, because that is going to be one whole thing. Maybe at a later time I can bring, and then I just do that, and discussion is lesser, and just do that, because this thing about brain power with respect to we making decisions, making the choices. Once you know how the brain works and get attuned to that, and different people or unique ability of what we have as individuals is very, very different. What Himani wants to do can't be done by Adishwar. Why? Because it's not about the gender and the likings and all those stuff. Of course, those do make a huge difference. It is also a huge element of the environment. It is also the huge element of the family background, not about background as in what and how kind of a thing. Imani's father is a civil engineer. Is he going to influence her to be a civil engineer as well? Definitely not. I come from a family of father and a brother. Father is a very, very, very deep-rooted structural engineer, been in the governmental until he retired. My brother is a civil engineer. And when I went and then told them that I'm going to take computer science, they looked at me like a strange animal. Well, nobody is going to help you. I said, no, I never asked for help. That was the first time probably I spoke up at my father. Well, he's not a nightmare kind of a person, but I did tell them, oh, don't worry, I would not need help. But at the same time, I know that I'm not a civil engineering person. I can do engineering, but civil is not my way. I don't want to be, well, I did mention that. Don't take me wrong, Adishwar. I did mention one thing that I'm not a Tamil சொல்லணும்னா கல்லு மண்ணு சிமெண்ட் person இல்லை நான். So I don't want that. Okay. Well, nothing to really defame whatever that is being done. Having said that, a college mate of mine just shared yesterday, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, which is Engineers Tunneling Day or something. Probably Himani might know. And he showcased from your father. He showcased saying that the fantastic projects that he did. And he did share one of the new MRT stations coming nearby our house, Bright Hill MRT. He said, I'm the main person who did that. So it's a kind of a proud moment. Probably Adishwar will be literally enjoying that, building skyscrapers in the years to come. All the best, right? So it is the passion which needs to build ourselves into where we want to move ourselves towards. So take a step back, and that's the process of making that decision. In the process of making the decision, it's all about deciding first, and then think, and then fine tune, and then see what other options we have, and make the final decision work for us. Right? Any questions? Any sharing? Any thoughts? Everybody is too quiet. I know it is Sunday, but was expecting even better questionings coming out. Okay, so what I will do, I will share a very quick slide share just to touch on some key elements, and then we will go back to take some views from you from what's been shared there. Again, there is no hard and fast rule. This is all about having an elemental way of how the decision-making process runs, right? So let me just do a screen share. Is the screen visible? Okay. Again, take it more lighter way, because there is no hard and fast rule. And whatever that we discussed today, we have been talking more about what is decision in its essence, and what is the learning that we are taking, and how these learnings are really helping us fine tune as we move forward in the decision making aspects of whatever that we do as we go on, right? So let's just talk about, there is a 7-step method. Again, don't go much into, oh yeah, I have to go from step 1 to step 7. No, it is not that. It is about understanding what these 7-step elements are, right? First and foremost is, what is a problem that I am really working into? And we did hear about many such situations in the sharing today. It can be a small situation, it can be a big situation. It is all about a decision-making aspect. If it is a very tiny little thing, we kickstarted our session with those 2 posts. that is more like a teaser about small situation that how we are making our decisions. It's like in a split second we are making those decisions. Nothing wrong because we are tuned to that, and that's a way we should be working. And we should not be sitting and then discussing, hey, I have to go through 7-step process in order to know what am I going to eat for lunch today. No, it's been tuned, and I make the decision given that short time frame, but we are still going through the 7-step process unconsciously. That's the thing. When we get into a complex situation, it is most important that I need to go think deep, and do I have all the information? That's pushing ourselves into the bigger bubble, into the next smaller bubble, which is, do I have all the data that I need? Okay. One thing Roma shared about that fantastic job, that well, internship that she wanted to go through, probably a tiny thing. Again, nothing she missed out. It is just a learning. Tiny thing was flipping through the application, noting down the deadline. Would have changed the whole thing, right? So gathering data is not about only what do I need to really make this decision forward. Rather, it is also about what is the first step that I should take. At least keep that in the mind so that it is easy for the actual process to kick through, get through with a level of confidence that I'm making the right decision in getting into this direction, right? So gather the data and information and move on to looking at alternatives. And pros and cons is one of the way. You can look at, what if I do this? What is the benefit? What am I going to lose if I don't do it? What is the risk of the competition? So think about diving deep and finding the alternatives. The alternatives could be the decision, the ultimate decision that you're going to make, or the alternatives could be coming from the data that you've collected. It may sound like, oh no, this is not at all an option that I should be really worried about. I don't even have to take a decision at all. This is not even a problem. You may at the third step even discard the whole thing, get going with the other stuff, right? So identifying the alternative is a space where you get deeper to know more about the problem, deeper to get deeper to know about all the available data is good enough for me, and are there anything else? And don't ever take no from anyone as an answer. I'm just deviating slightly out of the decision making process here. One thing that is always very, very, very good is ask a question. This guy is saying, let's take an example about, well, Roma's example is one good thing, and I think one that Shivanjani is currently going through on an application, which is also another good thing. Yesterday evening was the deadline. However, she's kind of going to push through that application today because took a step yesterday evening calling people. It was kind of a situation where the office is going to close at 6, and she called, she managed to speak, and interestingly someone literally put their hands up to help. And very interestingly, the office is open today, so they said, okay, don't worry, just come in today morning and then submit the application. Okay, so it's all about never ever take no for an answer. The no can be coming from external, the no can be coming from internal. Question yourself, why can't this happen? What is stopping? Let me try, and someone else, let them come back and say no. Why should I decide for someone else if I don't ask and I'm going to assume that, hey, this is logical, this has been closed. Singapore is so structured, they're not going to take things. They put a deadline, it is going to stop. Even government companies, government organizations, they do give that advantage. So never ever take no as an answer, whether it is coming from you or coming from external. Explore. I'm not asking you to be rude. It is more about asking them, what else? How else can you help me? I'm in this situation. I know I did this, and it is uh, my fault, my error, but I need some help here. Can you? person may not have even thought about it and they can extend. So just something came up to my mind. I just wanted to share. When you identify the alternatives, don't accept for something that is norm. Challenge the norm. When you challenge the norm, that's when you will break through in not accepting the no as an immediate response. Weigh and evaluate the evidence. What it means is evaluate, even there are so many alternatives, weigh them, which one is good, which one is going to give you more challenge. I think Vaishali mentioned about it. So weigh it out. What am I going to lose, or what am I going to gain? By evaluating multiple alternatives, then it gets much clearer, and then you will start eliminating those alternatives. So that step is something. For example, the food 1, 2, food 5, meat on ice cream or meat on Sunday. I keep saying meat on ice cream. That was a tricky thing, though. So all these options, instantly, this is what you did. There were 7 options or 8 options there. You're trying to eliminate. The process of elimination is a lot more easier. I don't like it, so get away from me. Then I get only 3 options. Of the 3 options, then I go into the next step. It is more about the funneling effect, right? When you have more options, you start filtering, and then you get into something that you really like, get going with that, and making sure that's when the choice of alternative, taking action, review decision, the last 3 steps are going to be cycling internally until you kind of get really sure about this is my final decision. Okay, when you go find out more about these steps, it may go more like a sequential thing. It need not be sequential. And very specifically, the last 3 steps, that's where after you choose the alternative to make the decision, when you are executing, taking the action, review, is that action really giving what you are looking for? If not, go back. What alternatives? Until you get to that level. And we saw that in the first 2 polling exercises as well. Those choices, it's not just suddenly you saw that and then you picked it up. You went through and you weighed. Adishwar shared about, well, yeah, I have something in my mind. It's not in the list. And very interestingly, that was the last option I added when I did that polling question sheet. I was going to put not applicable. Then I thought, well, not applicable is not an applicable thing in my mind. So I added on the other option. So it is something, it is not coming out straight. So you are navigating through, taking action. And what Roma did was 2 options. So taking action, and then she found one more that is suitable for her. She had a choice of choosing that. And the review process is what I think most of you shared in your examples of what you have shared. You reviewed and you took either the learning or you were happy about the decision that you have made, right? And what you're seeing, which is cutting across here, progress is always important. A number of times what we tend to do, depending on our personality, and it is subjective as well, oh no, I'm still not ready, and this is yet not so good to be presented. Who cares? If I like to sit and look for perfection, I will never ever do anything. Okay. Rather, you take a small step and make that small step a firm step and progress. As you progress, you start doing things. As you move forward, you start doing things. I'm not talking about making an instinctive decision, but taking the step forward, making that progress is going to give energy, and that will bring more ideas, and you will be able to fine tune whatever action that you're taking into the direction that you want to go. Perfection always happen as a process, not as an end state. Even after I perfect something else might come and I fine tune. And that's how the mobile phone industry or media industry is surviving today. Always there is something happening. And for that matter, anything. Engineering is an evolution. It will never ever stop. Science is an evolution. It will never ever stop, right? And people move, and you call it spiritual, you call it expansion of an area zone that we are not knowing. Still, it is science. Spiritualism is within science, or for people who do not know spiritualism, rather spiritualism is the bigger element and science is within it. I can't go out and tell to the intellects that, oh yeah, well, spiritualism, without spiritualism, no science, no art, no nothing. And it's asking for quarreling there. Rather, I go with them and then tell them that, oh yeah, science, spiritualism is science. Why science? And then I explain to them in such a way. And one thing I think all of you brought very well is the balance. Equilibrium is one very nice word where finding that equilibrium is making that up and down. It is not going to be always at equilibrium. There are going to be ups and downs. And your decision process, making sure that, oh, this is what I should really enjoy doing. Sometimes it's learning, sometimes it is success, and never ever it is failure. So we should kind of, in a way, remove that from our dictionaries. It's not failure. When you repeatedly do the same thing, expect the same or different results, that's failure. So long as we know I did something and I learned, and next time around when I do, I'm going to change the pattern, do it differently so that I can expect a different result. If I do the same thing in the same pattern and expecting a different result, something definitely wrong in our thought process. Any questions? I mean, keep dumping whatever that was coming based on here. Any questions or any thoughts? Okay, that's fine. If no questions, the do's and don'ts. Don't get too hung up on the do's and don'ts. When you make a decision, does this resemble? I have so many choices, so many options. I have not seen which path should I take. And I think almost all of us, I'm including myself here, on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, we get into something where I get too many options here. I do not know where to make my choice. For example, Adishwar, skyscrapers. Yeah, well, which one? Or should I build tunnels? Or should I build something else? Civil engineering is so big and vast. Where should I go? Vaishali, if I still remember, she was saying that she's a lot more interested moving into medicinal line. So something that comes out here, oh, even within medicine, there are so many options, pathways. Where would I go? Should I go here, or is it going to become more challenging? And I think for Shivanjani, she was kind of more interested in science, chemicals, and all those stuff. Am I going to go there? Is that an area to really dive deep and expand? So options in front of us always are too many. And when you have so many in front, and it's like extremely mind-boggling. So the do's and don'ts are simply about getting the focus and keeping it easy. Take a step back, keep it literally easy. Don't get too much hung up. And my way of looking at it, and then it can be different for different people. Let me just call out the do's first and then move on to the don'ts. What in the decision process you need to do is, it is a process. It is not just a state. It's a process. Before you make the decision, you go through certain elements of it unconsciously, right? So the seventh step is just to give a picturization, but make sure that you feel comfortable about those steps in the process. Before finalizing any major decision, review, right? And they have this nice word called pre-mortem. Dissect them and understand what is in it for you and find out the alternatives. And engaging with people and be open to have someone to give some extreme type of options, right? It gives the brain an exercise to stretch, and the brain muscles get stretched. That's when you get to literally think about something that you may not have thought about. For controversial decisions, hold genuinely secret ballots. This is more for an organizational oriented decision making where multiple decisions are coming, and then there is a huge controversy of which pathway to go. Should I build an MRT here in this junction of this estate, or it should be elsewhere? Should I demolish an ancient building or not? So those type of things, just to give you an example. And then most importantly, in the do's section, keep the past decision impacts, right? What the impact can be positive or negative. In what way those decisions that you have made in the past made you feel good, made you not feel so good. So bring those elemental values. And one other thing which is not stated here, I would call out being mindful. Mindful has been a buzzword lately, and probably we can touch a little bit on that, in a bit. So being mindful about being mindful from the angle of knowing myself as a personality, knowing my character, again, the next level of the personality, knowing my skills, my experience, my likings, put all of them together, being mindful about what do I need? How do I quiet my mind and think more logically, more clearly, bringing the two brains to work together? The logical mind sometimes tend to say things which the other part of the brain, which is more creative, won't accept. So when you are mindful, you bring both the logical and the creative, intuitive mind work together. And that's where the two parts of the brains, the left and right, work together to come out with something that you will feel a lot more energized in bringing that decision and working towards that decision, which will bring a greater success that you would be looking for. So the don'ts is my favorite. Looking at the do's, yeah, we know majority of them, but the strict don'ts, don't be pressured into making a wrong or quick decision. Time is a factor, no doubt about it, but don't have to kind of very quickly take a decision and regret, or rather take a breather, um, go for a short meditation, and then come back, make the decision. Such decisions always really will work. Don't ignore critics. There are people who are going to be coming in and playing the devil's advocate, not knowingly, sometimes unknowingly. Don't take them as someone is trying to derail you from your decision process. Maybe that message that is coming to you is for a reason, and we do not know the reason. So consume it, understand it, analyze it. If it does not make any sense at all, just ignore it. If not, that might be a tiny bit of an elemental value that you can use in order for you to make the right decision. Prime others in a way that sway their opinions. This is about bringing other people in and taking, well, genuinely taking their opinions. And this is going to be helping you, not like critics, right? People who are literally throwing from their experience. Of course, their experience are going to be back to the mode of subjectiveness, but nevertheless, that's going to give some insights. But again, don't go into a fear mode thinking that this is not going to work, or is this going to be a failure or what. But that is not the point. It is a point about taking those experiences and making use of them in making your decision. Make decision outside your circle of competence or expertise. Seek knowledgeable input. So what it means is don't make decision outside of your circle of competence and expertise. We did talk about it when we touched on the do's, right? Your skills, your characters, your competency, your knowledge, that makes a huge impact. If you don't have knowledge, then go get knowledge or get knowledge from people who are experienced, like Adishwa did. Be unrealistic. Don't be unrealistically overconfident in the rightness of any strategic decision you make. Okay. If you want to take a screenshot, go ahead and take a screenshot. But anyway, when I share, and it's going to be there, you can take a screenshot later as well. This is another area, not being unrealistic and overconfident. I don't want to be literally overconfident. My decision is the best decision ever. And that's where question yourself, go back, why should it be the decision? Why not something else? Challenge, self-challenge. Okay, so I just wanted to make it very simple. So that's pretty much it. Any questions or thoughts? Or did we waste time today?
Can you elaborate on the last point?
Which one about being unrealistic?
Yeah.
Okay, so or overconfident, right? Whenever you make a decision, you don't want to make a decision knowing. Let's take you're deciding to go into a pathway into your tertiary education. That's more easy to relate. It's a lot more relatable, right? If I'm not really strong enough in a subject, example, let's not talk about science. Let's talk about history, right? Can I go into an arts graduation, which is more in-depth, deep-rooted history for a reason? Because my group of friends are saying that this is how it is going to be for the future of Singapore. History students are the ones who are going to be really doing so very well. First thing, and let me also bring another real aspect. We all know technology is going to be the driving factor globally. But at the same time, does it mean that only technology people are going to survive for the next 10 years? No. We still need people to build buildings. We still need people to take care of humans. We still need people to do pharma work. Underlying thing is technology, which is going to help all these industries, which is a known fact. But at the same time, not everyone can be a technology person. It does not make any sense. So when you're making a decision, since technology is the driving factor, I want to go into an infocom space, AI space, machine learning space. However, interest-wise, passion-wise, you don't have that. If you don't have that, why are you making your decision based on external factors, but you don't have a level of expertise, confidence, and then you make the decision? That's the previous component. And coming to the last section, where I am so confident that based on what I have done in the past, I'm going to be superly fantastic. If I may bring an example from our last conversation, Vaishali, hope you won't mind. When she gotten into raffles, okay, she thought it's going to be really fantastic. And she used this analogy or metaphor of it was an ocean of all sharks swimming. And she started feeling like I had to literally fight with these sharks. And she felt like she was a big, huge fish in the previous pond and now into raffles. And I'm not saying that was the wrong decision. The level of exposure at that point in time was lesser for her. And it brought her into a different perception when she moved into raffles. And she had that capacity, and she was not working out her muscles into literally swimming into a bigger ocean. It took a bit of a time, and she did learn. Back into the overconfidence specific area is if I'm really comfortable in making the decision, if I have 3 decisions and one of them I'm extremely overconfident, when I am extremely overconfident, my brain is not going to be in alignment. My 2 parts of the brains are not going to be in alignment. Only one part is in alignment. and you question yourself, why am I overconfident with this? Why am I so comfortable with this? Is it that I have explored everything? Am I missing something? It is also a trigger point where it tells you that you're missing out something. If I'm overconfident that, oh no, this is easy, I'm going to do it. That in itself is giving a message that you're missing out something. So that means only one part of the brain is giving you that level of confidence. I'm going to make it. It's a race. I'm going to make it. How much do you know about your fellow competing racers? You may not know. The only thing that you know is I'm good. I'm good to the level of my level of exposure where I can do my 100 meters or 1 kilometer biking in X minutes. Is that good enough? I'm confident I can do it. Yeah, what is the level of confidence? What is the baseline? If we are not baselining it, that's going to be really difficult. I did a bit of an expanded, a long-winded answer, Shivanjani. Did that answer your question?
Did. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Any other sharing?
I just wanted to ask, like, sometimes we have temptations, right? That, like, suppose we have like a food that we want to eat, and we know that it is unhealthy, but then I feel like we like accord like a greater um how do you say extent of like gain from it than it actually is. Like, I don't know if I make sense, but like when we have a temptation to do something and we kind of know it is wrong, like how do you make a decision very like balance? I don't know if I was clear.
You're asking the right question.
Okay.
So that's called confusion.
Yeah,
It's a
kind.
very good state to be in. And I mean it. When you are confused, that means you're thinking from here and your heart says, no, that's not the right thing.
Yeah, I think
The,
yes.
dif-
Yeah.
the difficult aspect is identifying at that moment and getting into a decision aspect, which path should I take? It is so difficult that which one is by the mind, which one is by the heart. Very important thing is heart will never say wrong things. But how do we know which one is heart, right? So and you mentioned it very, very nicely where I don't want to do this, but I know that this is not right. You said, I know that it is not right. So what is that no component? How do you know it is not right?
I think maybe it could be like you know the consequences of it is not going to be entirely favorable for you, but then you want to do it. Like, I'm not
Okay.
sure if, like, I think we can relate sometimes. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if I can bring out a proper example, but I feel food or like a particular activity or like a person or something, you know that when this relationship is toxic and you know you're going to get hurt by it, but that's like, but your heart says, okay, it's fine, like I'm okay if this person insults me like a few times, like I'm still going to be in this relationship. I feel even that is a decision that, like, it's a bit confusing for like a person to make, right? Like your head says, no, this person isn't treating you well, get out of the relationship, but your heart says, but I like this person, so I need to be in it. Yeah, I feel like that kind of
Very good
decision.
example.
Yeah.
The reason why I say very good example is I'm a lover of emotional intelligence. So EQ always is a difficult space to be in. But when your heart says that, let me give a chance, even though the head says, because the head says, due to the waves of, you can call it, since we're all spiritual here, aura can make that level of feeling. But the heart says that, let me give a chance. This is just the first engagement of knowing this person. Let the person, knowing the person's background and personality, maybe this person is behaving so with others. Maybe this person may not behave so with me as a person. It's all about give and take, right? Not take and give. And whenever you get into such a situation, and ask about yourself, well, be sure about, are you okay with the consequences? Whatever the end result is going to be. Can you take it? If you can take it, just go do it. Let me just give a food example, right? I've stopped, pretty much stopped dairy products about 3, 4 years back. And it gave me an evidential proof that I used to be sinusitis. Every morning without sneezing, I cannot get up. And almost every week, I will survive just with medication like FEDEC. FEDEC is the only thing that will make me do my stuff. Okay, FEDEC is such a drowsy tablet, and to me, since I've been using it for a very long time, even taking FEDEC, I can drive. It used to be like that. This is I'm talking about almost 5 years, until 5 years back. And when I got to know about milk and milk-related products are really something, if I stop, that's going to work. And it was true in acupuncture session that I had. I stopped it, and touch wood, my level of getting into sinusitis has been gone almost zero. However, I do know that if I go back to dairy products, it's going to show up with a little bit of phlegm and a little bit of coughing and all those stuff. And sometimes paneer is something that everybody likes, right? I know if I do that, it is going to kick in. Consequences, I know. I'm going to suffer for a day or two. Let it be. I just accept that and go on with that. That's a very simple example, but when you're making a decision which is going to be impacting you and people around you, make sure you take a step back and take the decision.
Thank you.
Who else want to share more? We still have probably 20 more minutes. Well, we can close it down. And I do have something to share probably after stopping recording. We can chit chat a little bit. Anyone? Any thoughts? How did it go? What are your thoughts about mindfulness? Are you mindful about doing your daily activities? And all of us meditate. How is it really bringing your decision aspects or helping your decision aspects? Roma, you've been quiet for a long time.
I think, like you said, like all of us meditate and stuff. And so being mindful, not just in terms of taking the decision, but also reviewing our decision later and like thinking about what could have gone wrong with the decision that you made, or what would have been better if you had taken or not taken a decision. I think in terms of that, like it's helped me become more mindful. Not just during the process of decision making, but also the after effects of it. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Thanks for sharing. Who else want to share? Adishwar?
Yes. Actually, from this session, right, I've learned about, as you said just now to Vaishali, like, wow, like, should you listen to your heart or your brain? Like, the finding out which is from where, and actually learned it. I actually wanted to ask it, but by Vaishali, I get to know the answer. So it really helped me. Because as I was saying in my EAE, one is from the heart, and my mind says like go to a different course like real estate and stuff. It will be good for your future. But my heart keeps wanting that specific thing. So by sitting down and like thinking about it, I could have like I can make the decision. So like I think that really helps me. Yeah.
Okay, great, great, thanks. About mindfulness, anything that you want to share? Reason why I'm bringing mindfulness is this is something, especially during the COVID time, right? Um, at your levels, at all levels, age had not been a limiting factor, right? So the age factor, without the age factor kicking in, what was happening was people had been very worried about not able to travel, very worried about going out. I think Jana Silvan mentioned about parents were saying, oh no, just be careful. It is not just about he cycling out to ECP, it is all about also mingling with people, right? There is this kind of fear. And what do you think about mindfulness with respect to keeping your mind calm down? And it goes back to a question that you wanted to ask, which you got an answer, which is about differentiating heart versus mind talking. That's for Adishwar.
Uh,
Everybody was looking at you, and then you are also looking at yourself.
I thought it was a general day you're asking
No,
everyone.
no, no. Okay. So more about your thoughts on mindfulness.
Uh,
Don't worry. Think about it. If there's anything that comes up, just share with us. Jana Silva, what worked for you today? Anything that you want to share?
Okay, about mindfulness, as you have said a lot of things. As a class leader, I need to think about my classmates and a lot of things. So, last year I haven't been thinking about anyone about in my surroundings, and uh, I realized that I've been making a mistake when I'm thinking about when I make my decisions. So when I hear about this, I think I can improve more my decision making. So when school reopens, I want to see what I can do. Like what I can do to make my teachers and classmates happy and proud.
Okay,
Yeah,
very nice and very good. And before you do that, you got to make yourself
yeah.
happy. Okay, good. Anybody else? Imani, any closing comments? Almost we are reaching the tail end. Or any questions that anyone have? Probably we'll start with Imani and then go around the table before we wrap up.
I just think the whole session was quite refreshing. Like I got to hear different perspectives on how they would approach a problem and how they make their decisions to it. And there's also a lot of takeaways because I think the question Vaishali asked was something that I didn't put much thought into before, but now I realize I have been in that situation quite often. And your answer to that was also enlightening in a way. Like, I have to consider the consequences and also how it may impact those around me and whether it's a short-term impact or a long-term impact and how much the decision can matter to those around me as well. And I think that's something I'll put into my further decision making exercises I do. Or yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks for reflecting that. In my list, I will just go around. Vaishali, any last comments?
I think it was a very refreshing conversation, like she said. Um, like this is something I don't give much thought. Like I didn't know it was as structured as it actually is. So thank you for that opportunity. And I think something about mindfulness, it's about being aware at the present moment, right? Is that what it necessarily means. Okay, because I feel like for me, like I dwell too much in the past. Like I keep thinking about what I could have done differently, or I think about what I should do in the future, but I rarely stay in that moment and really like savor whatever I'm doing. I'm not sure if that's what you wanted to like bring out, but yeah, I wanted to say that's what I feel like I do more of. So I feel recently I think breathing and stuff really helps because
Mhm.
it helps you to kind of just stay in that moment. And I think it's very similar to what like Guru sometimes says also, like we let our thoughts like drift, you know, like immensely. So even though I'm sitting in one position, I think my thoughts just, they fly like at immense speed. So mindfulness is, it's a bit hard to achieve. I would want to hear what you want to say about it also, because I feel like, it's easy to say but it's very hard to achieve, at least for me. Yeah. So
So starting out, yeah, thanks for turning. This is called pretty good leadership skill, turning the table around and redelegating the same question back to the person who asked it. Fantastic. So Raffles did it very well in training you into that. So I can see a future leader in you. That's a compliment, okay? Take it in the right sense, which is very good. The reason why I'm saying that is observation is key. Anything that we do, decision making is one tiny little component of whatever that we do on a day in, day out, but it triggers so much when we do what we're doing. Being mindful, like I mentioned about the two parts of the brain, right? So being mindful is about what I want, what I know, what I have, and more in depth about who am I. It might sound philosophical, but who am I at this point in time is very much needed aspect for me to know who I am. Being mindful is about in this current moment, in this current situation, what is important to me. Who am I to myself? Who am I to the outside world? That's a very simple way of looking at self in executing what I should be executing. Uh, Breathing and then bringing the thoughts. If you start thinking that, I have to control my thoughts spreading across all over, it's only asking for failure. It's about just leave the moment and try to get yourself into an empty space. And breathing and watching out that breathing is the easy first step. So once you breathe in and breathe out, what happens is in the process, you're pumping more oxygen to the brain. The deep breathing, that's what it does. And it clarifies all the confusion and then it brings the level of focus. So being mindful is about me, which is at the core, and my immediate surroundings, which is the next circle. And then it goes out, and then it goes out and expands. And being mindful is when you sit and then bring everything in, is bringing the core back into the center. When you start getting those too many thoughts flying around, just one single thing that you remind yourself is, I am me, myself, and I'm here. Okay, well, of course, we have been doing quite a lot of other practices, but this is something very simple. Even when you're outside, just close the eyes for a minute. That's good enough to bring that level of presence. And that's why I mentioned about the observational aspects. Observing is whenever you are present there, that's only you can observe. And when you do that, if you're feeling like your mind is wandering all over the place, one thing that any kind of mindfulness brings in is about breathing. Easy for anyone to really remember, even if you want to kind of share this with people who are not that spiritual and not knowing what breathing, what yoga and all about. Tell them about boxed breathing. Box breathing is about as quiet. So you close the eyes and feel like you're breathing in as the eye is going across. Hold it when it goes down. Breathe out when it goes from right to left. And go into silence when it goes from bottom to up. It's easy for people to understand what it is. And by doing that, what you do is your mind is only fixed into that box. No other thought will kick in. Try it out and let me know, message me if that works at all. Because it is an easy way of doing things. And we know so many different techniques, right, by doing that. So being mindful is trying to get ourselves into that moment and keeping that focus in doing what we are doing and what we want to achieve. And most importantly, me, my time, who am I, is the elemental value for ourselves to be mindful in order to get to the equilibrium that you were talking about. Well, you did not use the equilibrium as a word, but it is about the balancing act.
Thank you.
Did I give some?
Yeah, it did. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Roma, any final thoughts?
I think so when I came into the session, I didn't really know what I was like expecting, so I didn't really have much
Even I did not.
But yeah, I gotta say I learned a lot, and thank you very much for it. Yeah.
Thanks, Roma. Thanks. Shivanjani?
There are more people in here compared to the previous session. I think I got to see a different side of everyone. I need to point out that I'm only close to one person out of everyone here. And I got to see everyone else's another face. So that was very interesting. And hearing their perspectives is not something I would have expected to come from them. So it was a very different experience, I would say.
Okay, thank you. And of course, this is, as I said, everybody was so open in sharing your thoughts, which is good. And well, I love to keep this platform if you all are interested, even wanting to bring more people in. Darshini last minute could not join. So this is something that we can do if you all are interested. You can throw topics of your interest. What I can do, I can pull together some, sorry, I can pull together some real informational aspects of whatever topic that you really want to discuss. We can do once in 2 months. It all depends on your availability of time. Okay. Thank you, Shivanjani. I'm seeing nodding of heads. So I would like to see topics that you are interested, and we can fix up a time. It need not be really even 2 months, once in 2 months. It can be once a quarter, once in 3 months, right? It's all about getting to know, sharing things, and a very safe space for you to exchange ideas. And very interestingly, a spread of different minds from different, I shouldn't say different generation, at least I think, Himani, you are a millennial, right? And the rest are Gen Zs.
Right. I'm like in between.
Oh, in between, you're a millennial Gen Z.
Yeah, somewhere there.
Okay.
I'm like 99 people born in 1999 are always hovering in between. Like we don't have a fix.
The clear delineation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, good. Adisha.
Actually, I was like super confused starting this Zoom meeting because I was like decision making. I was like thinking a lot. I was like, what's there about decision making? It's like it's either yes or no. You take the thing or you don't do it. So I was thinking, what is he gonna talk about? I was like super confused. But after coming here, I actually learned a lot of stuff, like from different age groups, like tertiary education, like people like me choosing for the next path, and it was like it was new to me, so it made me learn new things through this meeting here. So like thank you for making me join here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, things that you have shared really brought different perceptions, right? When Roma said, I don't know what to expect. And then I said, I'm in the same state. Very honestly, those 4 slides that I put together was around 11 p.m. yesterday. Reason is that's the way I work because I don't want to limit things from a framework. And I was thinking of just coming in without anything because that gives no framework and I don't have to confine myself into only this. And which goes back to what Kimani said about it is all about people and personality, and there cannot be steps. Yeah, true enough. We don't want to restrict ourselves into the steps. But knowing, well, there is a structure and I can make use of that in order for me to make my decision, knowing that I'm heading in the right direction, right path, and I'm not missing out anything in the thought process, right? We humans, we tend to, Vaishali said, yeah, thoughts are running around all places and we may tend to miss certain things. But when we have some reference point, checklist kind, then I can go back and check on that. So when you came in so confused, that's a fantastic state to be in. In fact, always தமிழ்ல சொல்லுவாங்கல்ல கலங்கிய குளத்துல வந்து மீன் பிடிக்க முடியாது அப்படின்னாங்க. I don't know whether you know this. I come from a very old age of generation, so I mean that. So what does that mean is in a murky pond, you cannot catch fish. But murky pond needs to be there in order for the pond to know that it is murky and then get really settle down so that the clarity comes from the confusion. Okay. Thanks for sharing that, Adishwar. Jnana Selvan, last but not least, and you're going to do the closing.
I might not have said much, but after hearing all these stories, I can use this for future references and avoid the mistakes that these people have made. Among all of these people, I am the youngest here, and I think it's a good thing that they have experienced it and I can avoid the mistake. So thank you for sharing your stories, and in the future I can avoid all these mistakes. Yeah.
Those are all learnings. All those learnings are the nuggets in the velvet pouch. I took quite a lot of nuggets today from 6 of you. New learnings for me. You may ask, why would you need all those learnings? Learnings happen and the day we come to earth, the day we depart, right? The departure can be in any form, formless form, or anything for that matter, but learning never stops. And it is a journey, right? Like decision making is a journey. There is no end point to any of these things. We constantly improve, and move forward. And well, you are the youngest by the age only. You bring so much of experience as well. You may think that, oh yeah, I've talked about something more generic, but that generic aspect is the starting point for anything and everything that you're going to bring to yourself and your close circle. You have 2 siblings. Whatever that you learn, that's going to help them as well, isn't it? Right? Great. Thanks for sharing. And really wonderful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording here and just stay on for a bit. Thank you very much for taking your valuable 2 hours of time on a Sunday. This is really very valuable, and you've given that to yourself, and really appreciate that time that you have given to yourself. And we will catch up in another session soon. Hopefully, you folks are going to give me topic instead of me coming out with a topic, and we can have a very casual conversation, right? And I would also like to suggest if you want to talk to, I'm going to keep this platform more to our circle. You know what do I mean by that, our circle. If you want to bring in other people, just ask them if they're interested, then I'll ask their parents' permission before inviting them in. Yeah? Okay, stay on for a bit. I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks once again to everyone.